Hey guys, in today's video, we are going to talk about the one thing of second chapter, the focusing question and the success habit. In this book of second chapter, there is one good chapter called as the focusing question. Now what is that? Here author give you a poem. Here the author had narrated a poem which is very famous, that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of question that we ask. That any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. If you ask poor question, your life will be poor. If you ask good question, your life will be good. If you ask great question, your life will be good. So just ask this simple question: what is the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? This question focuses on the most important thing in your life that you can do, and such that by doing it, your life will be easier. Now you can ask this question in different parts of your life. For example, in your business, what's the one thing that I can do in my business and such that by doing it, my business and everything will be easier? Or you could just ask in your second aspect of your life, in your health, what's the one thing that I can do in my physical health such that by doing it, everything else will be easier? For spiritual life, you can ask that what's the one thing that I can do to help others? What's the one thing that I can do to improve my relationship with God? What's the one thing that I can do to achieve my diet goals? What's the one thing that I can do to ensure that I exercise every day? For personal life, what's the one thing that I can do to improve my skill at this? What's the one thing that I can do to find time for myself? For my job, what's the one thing that I can do to ensure that I hit my goals? What's the one thing that I can do to improve my skills? What's the one thing that I can do to be financially free in 5 years? For your business, like what's the one thing that I can do to improve our customer experience? What's the one thing that I can do to increase my net worth? What's the one thing that I can do to improve my investment cash flow? What's the one thing that I can do to make us more profitable? Just ask these simple questions in every aspect of life. This simple question, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier? What's the one thing that I can do today? What's the one thing that I can do now? What's my one thing? You have to just focus on this simple question, and you have to just make this habit. In order to make this habit, you have to ask this simple question to every day. What's my one thing today? What's my one thing for my financial freedom? What's the one thing for my health that I can do to ensure that I do exercise? And this is good question. You have to just make it habit. Like, what's my one thing today? What's my one thing in my life? What's my one thing in my health? What's my one thing in my career? What's my one thing in relationship? What's my one thing in my spiritual life? You have to just make the habit to ask every day, because the quality of question that we ask to ourselves, the quality of answer we get. And ask big question also and specific question. Like there are 4 types of question that we could ask. First, big question. Second, small question. And third, big and specific question. And fourth, small and specific question. For example, if you're asking big and broad question, so you could just ask that, hey, what can I do to double my sales? Hey, what if you're asking small and broad question, you could ask, what can I do to increase myself? If you're asking big and specific question, just focus on this kind of question, because this question that matters most. What can I do to double my sales in 6 months? And if it's small and specific, so you can just ask a simple question: what can I do to increase my sales by 5% in 6 months? To find a great answer, you need to push yourself. So study about who already doing it. Implement in a new way. You have to leave here your comfort zone, but that's what matters. If you want to extraordinary result, you have to just make this habit at the end. What's my one thing? Simple. Just ask with yourself every day. What's my one thing now? What's my one thing today? What's my one thing in my life?